The conference room floated in space, a massive glass sphere orbiting a dying star. Ambassador Haiyan-Wu stood at the entrance looking at the vast chamber filled with aliens. Some had scales, others had fur, and a few seemed to be made of pure energy. All of them were staring at him with eyes that showed no kindness. This was the Galactic Council, and they had summoned humanity. Haiyan-Wu walked forward slowly. His shoes clicked on the crystal floor. Behind him, Captain Ga and 2 guards followed. They were the only humans in a room of hundreds. The captain's hand rested near her weapon, though Haiyan-Wu had told her they would not need it today. Today was about listening. A massive reptilian creature rose from the center seat. Its scales were deep purple, and its eyes glowed yellow. This was Arbiter Vexter, leader of the council. When it spoke, its voice boomed through the chamber like thunder. Human delegation, you stand before the Council of Civilized Worlds. For 10,000 years, we have maintained peace across this galaxy. Now you have joined our space with your primitive vessels. Haiyan-Wu said nothing. He simply nodded and waited. Vexter's mouth curved into something that might have been a smile. It was not friendly. Your species is young, ignorant. You know nothing of how the galaxy works. Therefore, we have prepared terms for your membership in our council. A holographic document appeared in the air before Haiyan-Wu. It was massive, hundreds of pages long, but the first page showed him everything he needed to know. You will provide 60% of all rare minerals from your home world, Vexter continued. You will grant us access to all human technology and research. You will allow council observers in every human government building. You will limit your military to defensive forces only, with numbers approved by us. You will not explore beyond sectors we designate. And you will pay an annual tribute of resources equal to 15% of your total production. Captain Gia's breath caught. Haiyan-Wu heard her move closer, but he raised one hand slightly. Stay calm. These terms are non-negotiable, Vexter said. The other council members watched silently. Some seemed bored. Others looked amused. Every species in this chamber has accepted similar terms. It is the price of peace. The cost of our protection? Protection from what? Haiyan-Wu asked quietly. Vexter's eyes narrowed. From chaos. From war? From species who do not understand their place. The threat in those words was clear as glass. Haiyan-Wu looked at the document again. 60% of Earth's resources, his people would starve. His planet would be stripped bare. And for what? For the privilege of being controlled by these creatures who called themselves civilized. He looked around the chamber. At the aliens who sat in silence, he noticed something then. Some of them would not meet his eyes. Others looked tired, defeated. How long had they been paying tribute to this council? How many generations had lived under this weight? We will need time to consider these terms, Haiyan-Wu said. Vexter laughed. It was a harsh scraping sound. Time? You have no position to bargain, human. You are one small world with a handful of ships. We are 47 species with fleets that could turn your planet to ash. Nevertheless, Haiyan-Wu replied, his voice steady, these terms affect every human being alive. I cannot accept or reject them without consulting my government. The chamber filled with murmuring. Some aliens seemed surprised. Others whispered to each other. Vexter leaned forward. You would risk our anger? Risk sanctions? Risk being quarantined from all galactic trade and contact? I risk nothing by asking for time to consider a decision that will affect my entire species, Haiyan-Wu said. Unless the council is unreasonable. For a long moment, Vexter stared at him. The silence was heavy. Captain Gia's hand moved closer to her weapon. The guards steadied. Then Vexter leaned back and laughed again. Very well. You amuse me, human. You may have 30 days to deliver your answer. 30 days to realize you have no choice. Other council members joined in the laughter. It echoed through the crystal chamber. When you return, Vexter said, you will accept our terms. They all do. They always do. Haiyan-Wu bowed slightly. We will return in 30 days with our response. Turned and walked toward the exit. Ga and the guards followed. As they left, Hien-Wu heard the aliens laughing behind them. They sounded so confident, so certain. Once they were back in their shuttle, Ga let out a long breath. Those terms are impossible. They want to own us. Yes, Hien-Wu said simply. So what do we do? Han-Wu looked out the window at the stars. Somewhere out there was Earth, his home. Billions of humans who had no idea what was waiting for them. What these creatures wanted to take, we go home, he said. We tell them everything. And then we prepare. Prepare for what? One of the guards asked. Hien-Wu smiled, but it was not a happy smile. To teach the Galactic Council something they have forgotten. What's that? Ga asked. That humanity does not kneel. Not to anyone. The shuttle accelerated into faster-than-light speed, leaving the council station behind. Hien-Wu spent the journey reviewing every word, every gesture, every reaction he had seen in that chamber. The council thought they held all the power. They thought humanity was just another species to be controlled. They were wrong. Humanity had survived ice ages and plagues. They had survived wars that nearly destroyed their whole world. They had pulled themselves from the edge of extinction more than once, and they had done it without anyone's help. The council wanted to take their freedom, their resources, their future. Let them try. Hien-Wu opened a secure communication channel to Earth. When the connection cleared, he said just 4 words. Activate Project Homebound.
Down on Earth.
In 100 secret facilities, lights began turning on. Plans that had been prepared since the first day humanity met, the council began moving forward. Scientists, soldiers, and strategists who had been waiting received their orders. The council had given humanity 30 days. They would need every single one. The Global Assembly building in Geneva had never been so full. Every nation on Earth had sent representatives. They sat in curved rows, facing the central stage, where Ambassador Hien-Wu stood next to a holographic display. The display showed the council's demands in cold blue letters. They want to own us, said the delegate from Brazil. Her voice shook with anger. This is not membership. This is slavery. Can we fight them? Asked the Russian representative. Their fleet size alone is impressive, interrupted Director Menesio, stepping onto the stage. She was a small woman, with sharp eyes and gray hair pulled back tight. She had been quiet until now, but when she spoke, everyone listened. But not as impressive as they want us to believe. She touched the display, and new images appeared. Ships, stations, weapon platforms, all marked with council symbols. Since our first contact with the council 3 years ago, we have been watching them, studying them. We cataloged every ship movement, every communication, every tactical pattern. Menesio smiled slightly. They thought we were harmless, primitive. They did not bother to hide anything from us. You spied on them? Someone asked. We gathered intelligence, Menesio corrected. And what we learned is fascinating. The council is old. It's very old. And old things become slow, predictable. Their fleet positions have not changed in 50 years. Their communication codes are based on mathematics from 1,000 years ago. They are strong, yes, but they are also lazy. Captain Gia stood up from her seat in the front row. Director Menesio is correct. I have seen their vessels up close. They are powerful, but they are designed for intimidation, not actual combat. When was the last time the council fought a real war? Anyone know? Silence filled the chamber. Exactly, continued. They have not needed to fight. Every species they encounter simply surrenders. They threaten, and civilizations crumble. But what happens when someone does not crumble? We cannot risk open war, said the Chinese delegate. Even if we could win, the casualties would be enormous. Who said anything about war? This was a new voice. A young man walked onto the stage. Wearing a white lab coat, Dr. Tae Young looked barely 30 years old, though he was actually 45. He had the excited energy of someone about to share a secret. War is messy, Taejang said. War is expensive. War is what happens when you run out of better options. We have better options. He waved his hand and the display changed. Now it showed something that looked like a web of light, pulsing and shifting. "This is quantum displacement field technology," Taeyong explained. "We developed it 2 years ago and kept it secret. With this, we can make our ships invisible to all known scanning technology. We can disable enemy weapons without firing a shot. We can appear anywhere in the galaxy within seconds." "The Council has nothing like this?" asked the Indian representative. "They do not even know it is possible," Taeyang said, grinning. "Their physics is 1,000 years old. They stopped innovating centuries ago because they did not need to. Why improve when you already control everything?" Ambassador Heian-Woo stepped forward. "The question before us is simple. Do we accept the Council's terms, or do we reject them? If we reject them, they will attack," someone said. "Perhaps," Heian-Woo replied, "or perhaps they will negotiate. But we will never know unless we try." "This is insane," the British delegate said. "We are gambling with the entire human race." "We are gambling with our freedom," Heian-Woo corrected. "And I would rather gamble than surrender without trying." The debate went on for hours. Some wanted to accept the terms and hope for better treatment later. Others wanted to fight immediately. Still others wanted to run, to take humanity's ships and flee to unexplored space. Finally, Minesio spoke again. "I understand your fear. I feel it too. But consider what accepting means. We give them 60% of our resources. Our children grow up with alien observers watching their every move. Our scientists cannot research what they want. Our ships cannot go where they please. Is that the future you want?" "We would survive," someone argued. "Would we?" Minesio asked. "Or would we just be living corpses controlled by someone else? Is that survival?" When the vote came, it was not even close. 207 nations voted to reject the Council's demands. 0 voted to accept. 15 abstained. Humanity had made its choice. After the vote, Hyunwoo met with Minesio and Taeyang in a secure room deep under the building. "We have 30 days, Hyunwoo said. "What do we need to do?" Minesio pulled up a list on her tablet. Project Homebound has 12 major components. We need to move ships into position. We need to gather intelligence on every Council member species. We need to prepare the evidence files for broadcast. And we need to be ready for anything. "The ships are already moving, Captain," Ge said, entering the room. She had been making calls. "I have contacted every captain in the fleet. They are all ready." "What about the civilian population?" Hyun-Woo asked. "If this goes wrong, Earth could be attacked." "We have evacuation plans," Minesio said. "And defensive systems the Council does not know about. We will not be helpless." Taeyong was typing rapidly on his own device. "I need to run final tests on the quantum systems. If anything fails during the operation, we lose our advantage." "How long for the tests?" Hyun-Woo asked. 20 days? You have 15. Taeyong looked up, startled. Then he grinned. "Then I better work fast." Over the next weeks, Earth transformed. Ships that had been disguised as cargo vessels revealed hidden weapons. Crews that had been training in secret deployed to their positions. Scientists worked day and night on systems the Council could not imagine. And in his office, Ambassador Heian-Woo prepared his speech. The words he would say when he returned to that crystal chamber? The words that would change everything. On day 29, Captain Gia came to see him. "We are ready," she said. "All ships are in position. All systems are operational. We can do this? Can we win?" Hyun-Woo asked. G-Ah thought about it. "Win? I do not know. But we can make them regret underestimating us." Hyun-Woo smiled. "That is good enough." He sealed the final documents and placed them in his case. Tomorrow, he would return to the Council. Tomorrow, he would give them humanity's answer, and the galaxy would never be the same. That night, he looked up at the stars from his apartment window. Somewhere out there, the Council was waiting. They thought they knew what would happen. They thought humanity would surrender like all the others. They were so very, very wrong. Ambassador Heian-Woo arrived at the Council station exactly 30 days after his first visit. His shuttle docked smoothly, and he walked through the same corridors as before. This time he carried a small data case. His aide, Young Ho, walked beside him, quietly recording everything with hidden cameras built into his uniform. The crystal chamber was full again. All 47 council species had sent representatives. They sat in their high seats looking down at the small human delegation. Arbiter Vexter waited in the center, his purple scales gleaming under the light of the dying star outside. Human Ambassador, Vexter said, his voice dripping with satisfaction. You return as promised. I trust you have come to accept our generous terms. Hyenwu walked to the center of the chamber. He placed his data case on the floor and opened it. A holographic projector rose up and activated. I have come to deliver humanity's response, Hyenwu said calmly. Excellent, Vexter said. Your signature on the documents, and we can begin the resource transfers immediately, Hyenwu said. The word hung in the air like a bomb. Vexter's eyes narrowed. No. Humanity rejects your terms, Hyenwu said clearly. All of them. The chamber erupted in noise. Aliens shouted in languages Hyenwu did not understand. Some stood up from their seats. Vexter raised one massive clawed hand and silence fell. You reject our terms, Vexter said slowly, dangerously. You understand what this means? I understand perfectly, Hyenwu replied. He touched the projector, and an image appeared in the air. It showed a council warship. This is the dreadnought Karshan flagship of your 7th Fleet. It is currently positioned in the Helios sector, coordinates 472 by 981. Vexter's expression changed slightly. Hyenwu continued, images appearing one after another. The carrier group Thalmer, protecting your mining operations in the Corvin system. The defense platforms around Council Prime, all 47 of them. The communication relay at Beacon Station, which processes 90% of your encrypted traffic. How do you? One council member started to say. We know everything, Hyenwu said simply. Ship positions, fleet strength, communication codes, defense weaknesses. We have spent 3 years watching you, learning about you, and what we learned is very interesting. He changed the display again. Now it showed documents, financial records, communication transcripts, video recordings. Galactic Council presents itself as protectors of peace, Hyenwu said. But you are not protectors. You are parasites. For 10,000 years, you have extracted tribute from every species you encounter. You suppress their technology to keep them weak. You limit their exploration to keep them isolated. You do not maintain peace. You maintain control. These are lies, Vexter hissed. Are they? Hyenwu asked. He pointed at a small, bird-like alien in one of the seats. Counselor Pipinek, of the Avarian people. Your species developed faster than light technology 700 years ago. Advanced physics, medical breakthroughs. The Council took all of it and gave you nothing in return. Your people could have been exploring the galaxy, curing diseases, advancing civilization. Instead, you pay tribute and stay in your designated sector. The bird-like alien looked away, saying nothing. Hugh turned to another council member. The Vrex Collective. 300 years ago, you tried to resist. The council destroyed your colonies and called it peacekeeping. 50 million Vrex died because you wanted freedom. Murmurs spread through the chamber. Some council members looked uncomfortable. Others looked angry. That is enough, Vexter roared. You dare come here and accuse us? We who have maintained order for millennia? Order, Hyenwu asked. Or oppression? Let us ask your member species which it is. He activated a new program on the projector. Suddenly, the hologram showed council members themselves. Private conversations. Secret meetings. They were discussing how to keep member species weak, how to extract more tribute, how to crush any resistance. Where did you get these? Demanded a council member. Your communication codes are very old, Hyenwu said. Encryption that was strong 1,000 years ago is weak now. We have been listening to every word you say. Vexler stood up, his massive body shaking with rage. This changes nothing. You are still one species against 47. We will crush you, will you? Hien Wu asked. He touched the projector one more time. Look at your tactical displays. Around the chamber, council members checked their devices. Then their faces changed. Shock, confusion, fear. What? What you are seeing is real-time data, Hien Wu said. Human vessels have been in position for 29 days. At every critical supply route, near every major council facility, we use technology you do not have to hide from your sensors. But we are not hiding anymore. Captain Gia's voice came through the communication system. Cora Prime Defense Fleet, this is Captain Gia of Earth's Navy. We have weapons locked on all your ships. Do not be alarmed. We will not fire unless fired upon. This is merely a demonstration. Impossible, Vexter said, but his voice was different now, less certain. Nothing is impossible, Hien Wu said. You stopped innovating centuries ago. You became comfortable, lazy. You thought your power would last forever. But power based on fear always falls eventually. An insectoid council member named Counselor Thrain stood up. His voice was clicking and strange, but the translation was clear. What do you want, human? What do I want? Hien Wu asked. I want justice. I want the council to end its system of tribute and exploitation. I want every species to have equal representation and rights. I want transparency instead of secret deals. I want a real galactic community, not a dictatorship pretending to be one. And if we refuse, Vexter demanded. Hien Wu looked at him calmly. Then, I will broadcast all of this evidence to every inhabited world in the galaxy. I will tell them what you really are. I will help any species that wants to break free from your control. And I will use every bit of technology we have to make sure you cannot stop us. You would start a war, another council member said. No, Hien Wu replied. You would start a war by trying to stop us. We are offering peace, real peace, the kind based on cooperation, not domination. But if you choose war, we are ready for that too. The chamber fell silent. The council members looked at each other. Some seemed angry. Others seemed scared. A few looked almost relieved. Counselor Thrain spoke again. You have outmaneuvered us. Perhaps we have become too comfortable. To certain of our power, it is not too late to change, Hien Wu said. The galaxy can be better than this. We can all be better than this. Vexter sat down slowly. His voice was quiet now. What exactly are you proposing? Hien Wu smiled. I am proposing we start over. As equals, Captain Ga stood on the bridge of the Taigok, watching her tactical display. Around her flagship, 37 other human vessels held position in a perfect sphere around the Council's primary shipyard. The shipyard was massive, a structure of metal and light that stretched for kilometers. Inside it, the Council was building their next generation of warships, or they had been. Now, all work had stopped. The aliens inside were watching their sensors, seeing the human fleet that had appeared from nowhere. Status report, Gia said calmly. All ships in position, her tactical officer reported. Council vessels are powering weapons, but they have not locked on yet. Keep our weapons cold. We are not here to fight. At the same moment, across the galaxy, similar scenes were playing out. Human ships revealed themselves at supply depots, communication relays, mining operations, and military stations. Everywhere the Council thought they were safe, humans appeared in the Orion sector. Captain Haywin commanded the stealth ship Silent Phoenix. Her vessel was smaller than Gia's flagship, but it was equipped with the most advanced technology humanity had ever built. She had been in position for 28 days, hiding in the shadow of an asteroid. Watching the Council's main communication hub now, she dropped her stealth field and broadcast a message. Attention all inhabited systems, Haywin said. Her voice was being transmitted to every planet, every station, every ship with a receiver. This is Captain Haywin of Earth's Navy. We are broadcasting evidence of Council corruption and exploitation. Please watch and judge for yourselves. The data began streaming. Videos of Council meetings where they discussed keeping member species weak. Financial records showing centuries of tribute extraction. testimony from sources inside the council who were tired of the lies. All of it unfiltered and undeniable. On 100 worlds, billions of beings watched. They saw the truth about the council. They saw what their governments had been hiding from them. On the planet Vrexia, crowds gathered in the streets. The Vrex people had been told their colonies were destroyed by dangerous criminals. Now they learned the truth. The council had destroyed those colonies because the Verks wanted independence on the Avarian homeworld. The bird-like people saw records of all the technology their ancestors had developed, only to have it confiscated by the council. Generations of progress stolen on Earth. In the command center deep beneath Geneva, Director Minesio watched data streams from across the galaxy. She saw the reactions, the shock, the anger, the awakening. Public opinion is shifting, reported one of her analysts. Approval of the council is dropping fast on at least 30 member worlds. Any violent reactions? Minesio asked. Some protests? No riots yet, but it is early. Minesio nodded. Keep monitoring, and make sure our fleet knows to defend any civilians if the council tries to suppress protests. Back at the council station, Ambassador Hyan-Wu watched Vexler's face as reports came in. The massive reptilian was reading message after message, his expression growing darker. You are destroying everything, Vexler said quietly. 10,000 years of stability. 10,000 years of oppression, Hyan-Wu corrected. Stability built on fear is not peace. It is just postponed war. Counselor Thrain spoke up. What happens now? Our member species are in chaos. They are demanding answers, demanding changes, and give them changes, Hyan-Wu said. Real ones. It is not that simple, another council member said. Our entire system is built on the current structure. We cannot just abandon it. You can, Hyan-Wu replied. And you will. Because the alternative is revolution across the entire galaxy. As if to prove his point, a message came through from the Vrex homeworld. Their government was formally withdrawing from the council. They would no longer pay tribute. They would no longer follow council restrictions. They were taking back their freedom. Within an hour, more species made similar announcements. Vexler slammed his fist on his chair. This is your doing, human. You have broken the galaxy. The galaxy was already broken, Hyan-Wu said. We just showed everyone the cracks. On the Taigak, Ga received an urgent message. A council battle group was moving toward the Vrex system. The message did not say what their intentions were, but Ga could guess. The council was going to make an example of the first species to rebel. Helm, set course for Vrex space, Guille ordered. Maximum speed. Captain, we will be outnumbered 3-1, her first officer warned. I know, Gia said, but we made a promise. Any species that wants freedom, we will help them. Send a message to all human vessels in range. Tell them to converge on Vrex. The Taigak jumped too faster than light speed. Behind it, 12 other human ships followed. In Geneva, Dr. Taeyang was running final calculations. Director, the council might try to use force against the Vrex if they do. If they do, we show them why that is a mistake, Minesio said. She opened a communication channel to every human ship. All vessels, this is Director Minesco. Weapons are authorized for defensive purposes only. Do not fire first. But if they attack civilians, you are cleared to respond. Around the galaxy, human captains acknowledged the order. The Council battle group reached Vrex space first. 23 warships, enough to flatten a planet. They took up positions above the Vrex homeworld and sent a message. Return to Council authority, or face consequences. The Vrex government refused. The Council ships began charging weapons. Then the Taigak appeared. And behind it, not 12 ships, but 53. Every human vessel in that sector had responded to Gia's call. Council vessels, this is Captain Gia, she broadcast. You are preparing to attack a civilian population. Stand down immediately, the Council commander responded. This is none of your concern, human. Withdraw or be destroyed. I will ask one more time, Gia said. Stand down. The Council ships did not stand down. They kept charging weapons. Captain GA's tactical officer said, "Their weapons will be ready to fire in 30 seconds." Gia looked at her crew. They were ready. They knew what was at stake. "Activate quantum disruption field," she ordered. Taeyong's technology came online. From the human ships, invisible waves of energy spread out. When they touched the council vessels, their weapons powered down. Their shields failed. Their engines sputtered. The council ships were dead in space. "What have you done?" the council commander shouted. "We have saved your lives," Go replied. "You were about to start a war you could not win. Now stand down and go home." For a long moment, nothing happened. Then, one by one, the council ships began to retreat. On the planet below, the Vrex people cheered. Back at the council station, Vexter received the report. His fleet had been neutralized without a single shot fired. Human technology had made his warships useless. He looked at Hyen Wu with new eyes. Not anger now. Something closer to fear. "You could destroy us all," Vexter said. "Yes." Hyen Wu agreed. "But we will not. Because we are not you. We do not rule through fear. We believe in cooperation, in equality, in justice." Counselor Thrain stood up. "Then tell us, human. What do we do now? How do we fix this?" Hyen Wu smiled. "Together." 6 months had passed since Ambassador Hyen Wu stood in the council chamber and changed the galaxy forever. The crystal sphere still orbited the dying star. But everything inside it was different. The high seats where council members once looked down on lesser species were gone. In their place, a circular arrangement of equal chairs. Every species had the same seat height, the same position, the same voice. This was no longer the Galactic Council. This was the Galactic Assembly. Hyen Wu sat in the human delegation chair, watching as Counselor Thrain addressed the gathering. The insectoid's voice clicked and hummed, translated by the new communication systems that humanity had helped install. "The report from the Vrex system shows continued improvement," Thrain said. "Their economy is stabilizing now that they can keep their own resources. Education rates are climbing. Their scientists are already developing new technologies that will benefit everyone." Across the chamber, the Vrex representatives stood and bowed. "We thank the Assembly for their support. And we especially thank humanity for standing with us when we needed help." Hyen Wu nodded but said nothing. He had learned that sometimes silence was more powerful than words. The reforms had not been easy. Vexter and his faction had fought every change. They argued that the old system had worked for 10,000 years. They warned that chaos would follow if the tribute system ended. They predicted economic collapse and war. They had been wrong about almost everything. 17 species had already adopted the new assembly charter. They had stopped paying tribute and started keeping their own resources. Trade between species had actually increased because now it was voluntary and fair. Technologies that had been suppressed for centuries were being shared freely. The galaxy was waking up. Not everyone was happy, of course. Vexter sat in his chair, glowering at the proceedings. He had lost most of his power, and he knew it. But even he had to admit that open rebellion was not an option. Not when humanity had proven they could disable any fleet without firing a shot. The morning session ended, and delegates filed out for a break. Hyen Wu found himself approached by a young diplomat from Earth. Her name was Sujin, and she was part of the new generation assigned to the Assembly. "Ambassador." "We have a new species requesting contact," Sujin said. "They received our broadcast messages and want to join the Assembly. What do we know about them?" Hyen Wu asked. "Very little. They call themselves the Keln. They are from a system beyond council space. They seem peaceful. Then let us welcome them properly," Hyen Wu said. "Not with demands. With friendship." He thought back to his own first visit to the council. How different it could have been if he had been greeted as an equal instead of threatened as an inferior. The galaxy had wasted centuries on fear and control. It was time for something better. That evening, Captain GA arrived at the station. She was no longer commanding a warship. Now she led the Mutual Defense Coalition, a joint force of human and alien ships dedicated to protecting species who could not defend themselves. It was a volunteer force, and they had already stopped 3 conflicts before they could turn into wars. "How are the training programs going?" Hien-Wu asked her over dinner. "Better than expected," Jia said. "The Avarians are natural pilots. The Vrex have excellent tactical minds. Give us a year, and we will have an integrated fleet that could protect the entire assembly." "Without conquest?" Hien-Wu asked with a smile. "Without conquest," Ga confirmed. "That is the whole point, is it not? To be strong enough to defend, but not so strong that we become oppressors ourselves." It was a delicate balance. Humanity had proven they had superior technology. They could have easily taken the Council's place, ruling through the same fear and control. But they had chosen a different path. Dr. Taeyong was leading that path in his own way. His research division had opened its doors to scientists from every member species. Together, they were solving problems that had seemed impossible before: medical breakthroughs, energy solutions, agricultural advances, and they shared everything freely. "Knowledge grows when it is shared," Taeyong had said when someone asked why he did not keep human technology secret. "What good is being the smartest if everyone else stays ignorant?" Not everyone in the galaxy was ready for these changes. The old Council factions still controlled several systems. They refused to join the assembly and maintained their tribute systems. But even there, cracks were showing. Young people on those worlds had seen the broadcasts. They knew there was a different way. Change was coming whether the old powers wanted it or not. One afternoon, Hyunwoo was surprised by a visitor. Vexler entered his office, moving slowly. The massive reptilian looked tired. "I have come to speak with you," Vexler said. Privately, Yan-Wu gestured to a chair. "Please, sit." Vexler sat heavily. For a long moment, he said nothing. Then, "I have been part of the Council for 300 years. My ancestors were part of it for 3,000 years before that. We believed we were maintaining order, keeping peace," Yan-Wu said. "But at a terrible cost," as Vexler agreed. "I am only now beginning to understand that cost. The species we kept weak, the potential we suppressed, the fear we spread." He looked at Hyen-Wu with yellow eyes that held something like regret. "You were right to challenge us. I did not want to humiliate the Council," Hyen-Wu said. "I wanted to save my people. And then I realized I could help save everyone." Vexler asked. "With those who maintained the old system?" Hyen-Wu thought about it. "That depends on you. If you try to return to the old ways, we will stop you. But if you are willing to change, to build something better, then you are welcome in the assembly." "Even after everything we did?" "Especially after everything you did," Hyen-Wu said. "You understand the old system better than anyone. You know its flaws. You could help us make sure it never returns." Vexler stood slowly. "I will consider this." He moved to the door, then paused. "You know, human, when you first came to the Council, I thought you were weak, foolish. I laughed at your request for time. I remember," Hyen-Wu said. "I was wrong," Vexler said. "Your greatest strength is not your technology or your strategy. It is your unwillingness to accept that might makes right. That is something we forgot long ago." After Vexler left, Hyen-Wu stood at his window, looking out at the stars. Somewhere out there, Sujin was preparing to meet the Keln species. Ga was training integrated defense forces. Taeyong was solving problems with alien scientists. And billions of beings across the galaxy were learning that they did not have to live in fear. It was not perfect. There were still conflicts. Still problems. Still species that clung to the old ways. But it was better. And it was getting better every day. A message came through from Earth. "Director, Nescio wanted to discuss expansion plans. More species were asking to join the assembly. They needed more ships, more diplomats, more resources." Hyen-Wu smiled. It was a good problem to have. He thought back to that first day in the Council chamber. When Vexler had demanded tribute and threatened humanity with destruction, it had seemed impossible then. How could one small species stand against a power that had ruled for 10,000 years? But humanity had learned something during its long history on Earth. Power based on fear was fragile. It looked strong until someone stood up to it. And once one person stood up, others would follow. The galaxy was following now. Following humanity's example, not because humans were superior, because they had shown there was a better way. Hien-Wu opened a new message and began typing. There was work to do, a new galaxy to build. And for the first time in 10,000 years, that galaxy would be built on cooperation instead of fear. It would be built on hope. Outside his window, stars burned in the darkness, each one a sun. Each sun surrounded by worlds. Each world full of beings who deserved freedom and dignity. The Council had tried to extort humanity. They had threatened and demanded and expected submission. They had forgotten that some species do not submit. Some species stand up. And when they do, they inspire others to stand up too. The old galaxy was gone. A new one was being born, and humanity stood at its heart, not as rulers but as teachers, showing the way forward, one day at a time.